Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. My name is Thomas Castleman, and I'm going to be giving you a leadership and culture overview on what drives culture, what drives you, leadership, or the lack thereof. Exploring how effective leadership shapes company culture, drives success in the individual, and helps build a thriving, innovative organization. Having a leader who cares about building relationships is far greater than any person solely giving orders. Talking about leadership traits, positive and negative, and how they're all connected to building a positive culture. Also, diving into the powerful role of emotional intelligence and conflict management in leadership, as it is related to building a culture. Then pulling insights from leaders like the greats, John Maxwell, Jeffrey Gitomer, Jocko Willink, and Elon Musk to help guide this conversation. Book right here is called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He outlines how he runs his company now, Echelon Front, which is a consulting company for big businesses, and how he relates it back to the times he was in Ramadi in Iraq. He was a Navy SEAL commander alongside his co-author Leif Babin, who worked underneath him. Their culture creating philosophy has defined many companies and expanded the outlook of many individuals. Next up, we have The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. John Maxwell goes in depth on how leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And John Maxwell continues to reiterate how leadership is the lid on how high you can progress and your effectiveness in leadership, in your industry, and in life. And here's Elon Musk. He runs Tesla, SpaceX, he sold PayPal, he's part of OpenAI, and he owns SolarCity. Elon Musk is a highly influential, innovative, transformational leader. He believes on putting it on the backs of his leaders and leaders creating leaders. And not only that, but moving fast and moving forward. Elon Musk is a highly influential example of how a company or a group of companies can become an ethical and enthusiastic economic advantage for the company, the team, their family, and everyone involved. Let's dive in and see how great leadership creates culture and growth and collaboration. Leadership's role in culture. John Maxwell is one of the most distinguished authors in leadership. He says it best: the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more or nothing less. John Maxwell says, at its core, leadership is about influence, not authority. A leader who serves and empowers their team to build a culture of trust and collaboration. By prioritizing the needs of the team, leaders create an environment where people can thrive and succeed together, especially through the moments of high stress and uncertainty. A team should draw upon the leadership and guide them through the times of distress and how to maintain focus even when the leader is not around. Leaders that focus on creating a positive and an enthusiastic culture are actively setting the stage for innovation, growth, and high performance in the environment, attracting that type of talent as well. This approach means that teams become truly engaged in the vision of the organization and buy into creating an environment of steadfast growth and having a team of like-minded leaders leading leaders. As the Word of God says, iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Key leadership traits and their impact. So what are the traits of a great leader? Jeffrey Gitomer emphasizes that management's job is to convey leadership's message in a compelling way, not just in meetings, but also by example. But it's not enough to just talk about values or set goals, leaders need to live those values every day. By being accountable, supportive, and clear, leaders model the behaviors that they want to see in their teams. It takes conviction to portray a message to your team. Quoting Gitomer again, saying, "Great leaders are responsible by example." Leaders who show vulnerability are not afraid to admit they are wrong, and when they don't have all the answers. This openness creates a culture of safety, a source of camaraderie, and kinship. When people feel comfortable sharing ideas, taking risks, and growing together. When uncertainty leads to opening up instead of hiding away a problem like it never existed, it then has the ability to create an environment of vulnerability that is reciprocated by the team, respected by all involved, and ultimately a reflection of the modesty and interpersonal relationships that are being developed in that organization. These traits and arsenal of developing principles will be seen directly by teammates, families we serve, and their personal lives, and in their personal lives. This goes far deeper than only a company policy, but rather shaping the lives of all the people in our sphere of influence to be greater than they have ever imagined. That is the real example of a quality leader. Now we'll transition on to emotional intelligence, which is called EQ, and conflict management strategies. We're going to be talking about emotional intelligence. High EQ/emotional intelligence is what helps leaders connect with their teams, understand their teams, and manage stress effectively. Jocko Willink, the author, former Navy SEAL commander and co-founder of Echelon Front LLC, is a great example of how emotional intelligence among a shared group is a great example of how emotional intelligence can transform a company culture. Willink's focus on empathy, self-regulation, self-awareness, motivation, social skills, and how they can generate higher emotional intelligence among a shared group, helping businesses see how these traits and tactics can be directly implemented into a company. Willink goes on to say that the individuals holding back a higher level company culture are the main culprits impeding and standing in the way of the growth in the organization. But emotional intelligence doesn't just help in positive situations. It's also key in conflict management. Every team faces conflict, but it's how leaders handle it that makes the difference. Great leaders know how to manage disagreements by fostering open communication, listening actively, and guiding teams towards solutions. This not only resolves tension, but strengthens relationships and enhances collaboration. Jocko Willink's take on conflict management is like this: extreme ownership, detached reflection, effective communication, decentralized command, empathy and understanding, mission focus. These traits allow the team to have organization of the entire picture and make decisions when they need to be made. The whole principle of leadership is to empower your team, and when conflicts inevitably arise, they will have the wherewithal and guts to make the best and most correct choices in the moment. Simon Sinek says, "A culture is strong when people work with each other, for each other. A culture is weak when people work against each other for themselves." Personal leadership reflection. Reflecting on leadership, I think we all can agree that good leadership is rare, but it's transformational. A good leader is transparent, vulnerable, and always puts their team first. They lead by example and take responsibility for their actions. On the flip side, bad leadership can teach us valuable lessons too, mainly about what not to do. Lack of accountability, poor communication, and evading responsibility are telltale signs of bad leadership, but great leadership shows us what's possible when we lead with heart, integrity, and vision. Practical leadership applications. You're the driving force behind the team's culture. To keep your culture of growth and innovation alive, it's important to maintain your own performance at the highest level every day. One effective way to do this is by implementing regular, short training sessions that focus on key leadership topics like emotional intelligence and conflict management. These can be 10-minute bi-weekly sessions that keep everyone aligned with the organization's values. It helps reinforce the team's mission and keeps everyone on the same page. Leadership accountability. Jeffrey Gitomer also reminds us that leaders are responsible by example and expect the same from their people. Accountability is at the heart of strong leadership. When leaders hold themselves accountable, they inspire their teams to do the same. And this creates a culture where everyone takes responsibility for their actions and their results. A culture of accountability strengthens team dynamics and drives performance, making everyone more committed to achieving the shared goals of the organization. Disseminated from the highest leadership position, then giving each member of the team power in themselves, their voice, their goals, and their personal life direction. When stern words can be accepted because of the outlet of ethical growth is the overall outcome of the people involved in the team, the individuals will develop at a tremendous pace with real conviction, belief, and accountability, compared to those outside of the momentum of a highly structured team culture with a foundation of shared, truthful principles. Here are some counter arguments and rebuttals. Now, you might be thinking, isn't culture everyone's responsibility, not just the leaders? And while it's true that every person on a team plays a part in shaping the culture, it's the leaders who set the tone and direction. Leaders are the ones who influence the values and behaviors and shape the culture, even when external factors come into play. Also, some might argue that companies can thrive without focusing heavily on culture. But even in organizations where processes are emphasized over people, leadership that aligns the team's values with the company's culture still drives success. The most process-driven organizations still benefit from having a leader who invests in building a positive culture that drives long-term growth. And finally, there may be those who say emotional intelligence and conflict management aren't always necessary for success. But the reality is, these practices are crucial for building teams that communicate effectively, collaborate openly, and innovate without fear of failure. In conclusion, leadership shapes culture, and culture drives growth. When leaders prioritize emotional intelligence, manage conflict effectively, and hold themselves accountable, they create environments where collaboration, creativity, and innovation automatically thrive. As you reflect on your own leadership style, ask yourself, how can I create a culture of growth and innovation within my team? Leadership is about influence, and by leading with integrity, empathy, and vision, you can foster a positive and thriving culture in your organization. Thank you for watching. If you're a leader or an aspiring leader, I want to hear from you. How do you handle conflict or emotional intelligence in your team? Drop a comment below and let's get the conversation going. Let's learn from each other's experiences. What are your key traits of a leadership culture? What is it that drives the leadership in your company? How is a leader supposed to conduct themselves?